Hello and welcome back to episode 11 of the Women of Wrestling podcast here on divadirt.com. I'm Stu Allen, I'm here alongside Lee Burton.
Hello!
And we're back with another hour or so of wrestling fun and games. Our guest tonight is going to be none other than the former SHIMMER champion, current Ring of Honor star, worldwide travelled wrestler, and all-round scary woman, Sara Del Rey.
Yeah, we literally had to do some serious things. We had to go through some serious initiations to get this interview. I had to do 400,000 Hindu squat thrusts.
Yeah, I had to do 1 million press-ups. I managed 4.
Yeah, and then I think I hit about 47 star jumps before I broke my ankle.
Yeah, but either way, we've got Sarah here. We're going to speak to her coming up later in the show. Before we get to that, got a bit of news to run through. It's been a couple of weeks since we were last on the show. What do you want to talk about first? I think the big story's got to be the TNA Knockouts division disappearing further down the plug hole with the events of Victory Road.
Big time, yeah. Well, which titles are we going to talk about first? We're going to talk about the singles knockout title or the knockouts tag title?
Well, let's start with the singles championship with Madison winning. The career killer, and that gimmick appears to already have been erased because, she lost, or did she not, the Knockouts championship at Victory Road, thanks to the mystery biker chick. I don't even want
the mystery biker chick. Oh God,
I don't even know where to start, but. The stipulation, everybody knows it by now, was that Lacey and Velvet could not interfere in the match, or Madison would get disqualified and lose the belt. So somehow Madison conspired to have a mystery biker chick, a female Stig, if you will, to come out and interfere in the match, cause a disqualification. But because it's not a member of the Beautiful People, the championship would not change hands. Wonderful plan, you would think. Except for the fact...
Yes, yeah, in theory this all works so well, and if you had it left like that, fine.
Yeah, except for the fact that the referee decided that this person in the helmet was Lacey or Velvet, and therefore changed the belt and gave the championship to Angelina Love, so we got a third consecutive title change where the champion was not pinned or made to submit to lose the belt.
Lock boxes, tag matches, screwy disqualifications. Could you have started off a babyface's title reign on any more of a damp squib?
But the thing about it is Angelina celebrated like she'd won something. That's the strange thing about it, is like, surely you should be embarrassed to win the title like that.
Yeah.
But
even stranger, Madison, who lost the title, she ended up getting on the back of this bike with the girl who cost her the title and just rode away with her.
Yep. And the thing about
obviously didn't care about the title.
The girl, the mystery biker chick, the female Stig, was not Lacey or was not Velvet. So why didn't she just take off the helmet, prove that it wasn't one of the Beautiful People, and retain the belt?
This has far too many questions.
This
has far too many logical questions.
Yeah, it was a disaster. I mean. The plan in theory made sense as much as you can with a convoluted TNA storyline.
Yeah, as stupid as it is.
But assuming this was Madison's plan, it's sound. The strategy would work. But why you wouldn't just immediately go, well, hang on a minute, it's not Lacey or Velvet, it's actually Tara. Ta-da! I don't understand. And we say Tara because, well, that's who it is.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing that causes a few problems with people, is the fact that it is Tara underneath a motorcycle helmet when she lost a career match, which was pretty heavily promoted. But I guess we've just come to prove now that a career stipulation in TNA now means 8 weeks.
Yeah, well,
go away for 8 weeks and come back under a helmet. Everything will be fine. You'll be forgiven.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is, when she left TNA originally 2 months ago, it was because she decided that she couldn't come to terms with TNA management, and she was leaving over monetary issues, which is fine. If you want to do that, not a problem. So they convoluted to have this career versus title stipulation, which Madison won. It was Madison's first ever win as well. They then followed up on that to try and sort of further that stipulation by screwing over and sacrificing Nikki Rocks the following month to continue to build this stipulation, and there's really no payoff for it at the end of the day because, well, Tara's back apparently aligned with Madison Rayne.
So let's try and work this out logically. You put your career on the line to try and win a title against somebody. You lose. And as part of coming back, you then align yourself with the person who cost you your career in the first place.
Yeah.
I can't even begin to work out what kind of explanation they're going to do for this.
Yes. I don't understand. I really don't understand. And the thing about it is what has it all accomplished? What has the last 3 months of booking accomplished?
Well, nothing, because all that good work that Madison put in as far as becoming Knockouts champion and making the title mean something again, which you covered in this month's Fighting Spirit magazine, by the way, go and buy it at your newsstands now, no problem, it's all been tarnished again because the title changed hands on a DQ, which means you've tarnished it all over for the brand new champion. So she's got to now do a clean-up job on this belt.
Yeah.
What a mess.
Yeah.
And it's the Impact spoilers coming, people. If you don't want to know about this, then wind forward about 30 seconds. But this whole fandango about the biker chick not actually being Lacey or Velvet ends up with Angelina having to hand back the title to Madison Rayne.
Yes, so it ended up being a 2-week dusty finish.
Yeah, does this mean then that Angelina was ever champion? Is it stricken from the records?
I guess it's stricken from the records. I guess Madison's been the champion now for 3 months.
I wish I was dead.
Speaking of dead, the Knockouts tag team titles appears to be dead. Lacey and Velvet have been the champions recently, but they seem to be split up now because they seem to be having Lacey leaving with Madison.
Well, Lacey's torn.
Yeah, and so the Knockouts Tag Team Championship's up in the air. As far as contenders for that, well, you think you've got Sarita and Taylor Wilde, but no, they split up.
No, you don't!
They split up as well.
They split up on Explosion, for God's sake. It had a brawl on Impact, and Tenay and Taz couldn't even fill people in, because obviously everybody watches every single TNA show that's on.
Yeah. I think the Knockouts Tag Team Championship's got to be dead. I don't think there's enough Knockouts to justify a tag team title anymore. There aren't enough tag teams to justify a Knockouts tag team title anymore. Kill it now.
Yeah, I think that's it. And we were talking a little bit earlier on that say maybe they could run it on the Freebirds rule and have, if they are splitting Lacey and Velvet, then maybe you can have Madison and Lacey defend the titles instead, which I suppose is fine in theory, but those like we're saying about the Knockout singles title, it's a tarnished belt or a tarnished title. So if you're going to be doing that, it just makes it seem even more cheap than it currently is.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. And while TNA are conspiring to confuse and befuddle us, WWE are doing their best to bore us to death with a bit of a holding pattern at the minute.
I would say, yeah, definitely on Raw. On SmackDown, it seems like they have a bit of an impetus going for it. I mean, we were talking a little bit a couple of weeks ago about that match on Superstars, which had the Blontarage versus Lakel, which was a lovely little match.
It was, actually, yeah.
But then you look over at Raw, and there is just nothing going on.
It's going to be Eve and Alicia for the third consecutive week.
Is it? It feels like the 15th.
Sorry, month. Third consecutive month, I should say. Third consecutive pay-per-view at the very least. Yeah, seriously, is there nobody else? Who has Gail Kim offended that she can't get a championship match on pay-per-view? And more to the point, Natty Neidhart is one of the 3 best women in the company, I would say. Well, I think there's no doubt about that. But with the exception of Beth Phoenix and probably Serena Deeb, she's got to be one of the top 3 in the promotion. And she doesn't get to wrestle. She wrestled Tamina in a couple of multiple person matches, but.
Oh, she got to do a slam at Money in the Bank.
Yeah, why doesn't Natalya get a title shot at SummerSlam against Alicia Fox?
I have a theory.
Okay. Is Natalya invisible? Is that the theory?
No, it's not to do with that. It's more to the fact that Eve is getting all these title shots. She must have naked pictures of God and is blackmailing him.
I like Eve. I feel sorry for her in that. Well, I feel sorry for her and Alicia, in fact, because
so do I.
I get the impression that both of them are trying and want to get better, but they're not in a position where they're going to get better wrestling each other, and they're not in a position where they're going to get better wrestling Maurice. So, how much do I wish Natalya can work a long program with both of these girls?
It would just be great. We were talking about it a little while ago as well. If you had Alicia versus Natalya at SummerSlam and you had a unified tag title defense by the Hart Dynasty, you could essentially have all three of them carrying championships, which would look just great.
Yeah. But no, I don't know. I get the impression that before Raw this week, Creative were walking around the Divas locker room and they were deciding who was going to be getting the title shot at SummerSlam. And Natalya was there. She had her hand up in the air going, me. And
it's like the seagulls in Finding Nemo.
Yeah, and the Creative guy is just standing there with a notebook going, I don't think we've got anybody. Oh, it's going to have to be Eve again.
Don't we have a Korean chick on the books? Who's that? Some girl named Gail? Oh, I've never heard of her. Oh, we better put Eve up there again.
Yeah.
Now, in fairness, if I want to be fair to them, and they had a decent match at Money in the Bank. Eve and Alicia had a decent match at Money in the Bank.
They did.
Yeah, I have no complaints about that.
Yeah.
SmackDown's title match, on the other hand.
You have some complaints about it.
I do.
Okay.
I do. And it's not down to the effort that they put in. God's sake, Layla and Kelly tried. They tried hard.
Extreme Expose exploded and nobody cared.
Yeah, they really did go for it. And there was Kelly had fire, and Tiffany's hair had exploded, and all sorts of things happened. But at the same time, it just was one big mess. Kelly looked alright. Layla had an off night by the looks of it. Nobody gives a rat's rear end about Michelle McCool.
But Tiffany looked fantastic.
Tiffany looked like her hair had exploded.
I know I'm pretty much going to be by myself on this one, but I loved her just stepped out of a Poison video shoot look. It was fantastic. It like she had spent about 3 cans worth of lacquer on her hair. She had hot pants. She had, I think it was leopard print. It was fantastic. It was like the 80s had come back.
She's responsible for the mild autumns we've been having.
She may be.
Just all by herself.
She may be, but I would dig that as an ongoing gimmick where she's the 80s rock chick.
Well, she's got to have some kind of gimmick, I suppose. The thing is about the SmackDown side of it is it does have fire, and it does have a story, and it does have people you can get behind. But then, unfortunately, when it gets to the actual matches, oh dear. I mean, Layla when she's on is great. But at Money in the Bank, it just wasn't there. It just seemed like she'd just forgotten how to wrestle.
Shame.
A pity. And then Maurice came around in the actual Raw Money in the Bank match and kind of outshadowed every other woman on the show. Yeah,
she scooped everybody's heat by, climbing the ladder and generally, I mean, she's used to scooping the heat from Ted DiBiase because he's so plain.
Well, it's not hard, is it?
That by comparison, Maurice just looks $1 million. Well,
it's like, I guess if you'd compare Maurice and Ted DiBiase, it's like Maurice is like a filet mignon. She's a very lovely steak, yeah. Fantastic flavour to it, perfectly cooked. And then, Ted DiBiase is supermarket custard.
I'm going to say Spam.
Spam's even better.
Yeah, processed, tasteless, doesn't look like much.
Very generic.
Yeah.
Goes with everything but isn't spectacular at anything.
Yeah. So no one really wants to have a meal of filet mignon and Spam.
In theory, when that whole sort of Maurice Miz thing, where Miz was flirting with Maurice and trying to get her to side with him and things like that, she really picked the wrong side.
Yeah, really. I mean, if she'd stayed with Miz, Miz is one of the more entertaining guys on Raw these days, so if she had stayed with Miz, that as a main event duo, she could have been the difference between Miz in the semi-main and Miz in the main events.
That would be a perfect couple. That'd be a power couple.
Yeah, whereas with DiBiase, as much as DiBiase when he's dressed up in a suit and she's got her gown on, as much as they look good, she's not making that difference for him that she could do for Miz.
He's dragging her down. She's not pulling him up.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair enough to say.
Having said that, it's probably still better that she's outside of the ring and being some kind of manager/valet than she is wrestling, because that match on Raw, even though it was just a minute long, that was not great.
No, it wasn't.
In fact, it was a bit of a mess.
Yes, Maurice's best position is not in the ring. Let's leave it like that.
Oh, there's many punchlines to that statement.
But let's move on from WWE. Let's run through a couple of happenings that has gone on in the wider world of wrestling, as is our wont here on the Women of Wrestling podcast. Tournament action, first of all.
Lots of tournaments.
Yeah, a couple of tournaments in particular we want to talk about. We could talk about them either one first, but we could start with PWWA in Australia. We had a big tournament show recently. We talked about the build-up to that one with Madison Eagles wanting to get her hands on Jessie McKay as well, but it turned out that neither of them won the tournament.
No, the winner was our favourite rate tank, Kelly Skater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Big push for her to win the tournament.
Yeah, beat Madison Eagles in the final. Madison beat her former Pink Lady partner, Jessie McKay, in the semis. Those two are feuding in Australia, by the way, with Jessie being the ultimate bitch heel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's almost like a payoff. I know that they've been feuding a long time over the PWWA title, but as it turns out, it was Skater who ended up taking all the marbles on that one, and apparently it was quite a good show.
Yeah, so that should be out on DVD soon as well, so keep an eye out on that one. We'll let you know when it comes available on DVD as well, because I think we'll both want to see that, and it's probably going to be one to recommend. Another one probably to recommend is going to be the American Joshi Queen of Queens 2010 from Anarchy Pro Wrestling. We did a rundown a few shows ago of the 8 people in the tournament.
A fascinating outcome.
Yeah, I don't think either of us considered the winner was going to be the winner that it turned out to be. By all means, take the story from there.
Well, your winner, as it turned out, was Portia Perez, who not only won the tournament itself, but also won the American Joshi title in the process, which was on the line in every single match that it was in.
Mm-hmm.
So you had Rachel Summerlin defending the title in the first round against Daphne, lost. And so Daphne won the title. I can't remember who Daphne lost it to off the top of my head.
Was it not...
she lost it to Jessica James.
Yes.
Yeah, she lost the title to Jessica James, and then it wasn't actually Jessica James who came out for the final match against Portia Perez, but it was revealed it was Jessica James's alter ego has been Lady Poison all along.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lady Poison came out for the final match against Portia Perez and got beaten because she'd been pretty much whooped all the way through in post-match angles.
Yeah, so things are looking really interesting down in Texas as far as that's concerned. I have the DVD of the 2009 version, very good. The 2010 version looks like it blows that away as far as an intriguingly booked tournament is concerned.
Yeah, I don't want to mention this to Sara Del Rey later on, but she did lose in the first round to Portia.
Okay, well, we may die if we ask the wrong question, so...
I'll skip that one.
We'll skip that one. I want to talk as well, speaking about indies, a couple of new names to the indies, or at least it's been a long time since they've been on the indies, and that's ODB and Mickie James. Yes, on the indies. Both wrestle for the World Wrestling Council, WWC, down in Puerto Rico at the 37th anniversary weekend.
What? 37th?
Yes.
That's brilliant.
Yes, indeed, the 37th anniversary. And both of them were down there. So was Daizee Haze as well. In fact, the first 2 nights, it was a 3-night anniversary celebration. The first 2 nights, ODB beat Daizee Haze. Mickie James came in as the conquering hero on the 3rd night and defeated the dastardly ODB. And won. This is a show that Katie Lee was originally supposed to be on as well. She wasn't able to make it out there. Worthwhile mentioning as well that she's changed her wrestling name as well. She's now going to be known as Cat Lenoir.
I suppose that kind of fits in with the gimmick which she was slowly turning into in WWE. She had that more gothic style to her. It was, and I guess it differentiates from that Katie Lee Burchill character which she originally came in as being sort of Chelsea brat.
Yeah. Although, quite frankly, she may as well just be the Black Cat.
Yeah, but how exotic does that sound? This is a lot better. You've got a German-born British woman working in America using a French name. Fantastic. That's United Nations for you, baby.
She is the United Nations of women's wrestling. Yeah, we're still hoping to get her on the show coming up soon as well. We're trying to figure out when the schedules work out and so on. So we'll keep that one on the back burner. Hopefully we'll be able to try and sort something out for you sooner rather than later on that. But in the meantime, we're not one to rest on our laurels. We're going to have...
Maybe laurels are a good place to rest.
Well, people do rest on them quite a lot, don't they?
I feel like I had to bring in a Bring It On quote just once.
Fair enough. Wow. But anyway, let's move on from cheerleaders, because they're just cheerleaders, to
nice segue
to someone who famously said that in a Shimmer ring, and that is Sara Del Rey. Del Rey, the current Jersey All-Pro Women's Champion, recently worked for TNA as well, been wrestling all over the wrestling world. And
indie wrestling, Sara Del Rey.
Yeah, and what I'd say to you is, take cover! Okay, and welcome back to the show. We are here with Sara Del Rey herself. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you too. Been somebody that we've wanted to have on for quite a while, and we've got a good reason to have you on now as well. Not that we need a good reason, but you've got a big show coming up, and we wanted to get you on to try and tie in with that if we could. And that's going to be Chikara Pro's Chikarasaurus Rex at the old ECW arena in Philadelphia. This is going to be Chikara's, I think they're billing it basically as their biggest show ever. Is that fair to say?
Definitely.
And you're featured in a big match with yourself teaming with Daizee Haze against the pretty formidable team of Amazing Kong and Raisha Saeed. So talk first of all about that match.
I'm really looking forward to that match. Me and Daizee as a team have been pretty dominant in Chikara, but we've never really been faced with female tag action, especially the caliber of Raisha and Amazing Kong, so it should be really good. It's going to be an enormous show all around with the return of Tommy Dreamer to the ECW arena, all the Dragon Gate guys, everything. Like, it's just an amazing, crazy show. It should be huge, and I'm really looking forward to my match and all the other matches on the card.
Well, your match is a bit of a departure from the matches that you've had recently in Chikara, just because it's an all women match. Because quite recently, you and Daizee have been wrestling lots of the guys, and so I guess you look at the whole thing about saying that you're wrestling the guys, and you think it would be a big difference as far as maybe size, strength, anything like that is concerned. But with you guys, it just isn't in Chikara, is it?
No, not at all. And I mean, Daizee and myself have wrestled long enough that, we're smart enough we can compensate for, the lack of anything we do have facing the guys. So, I think we've done really well against the guy. Like I said, I'm excited to be tested with some great women's action, but I think we're going to do fairly well and hope for the best.
You've been running through the guys as well. I know there's one match that we both loved from, I think it was earlier this year, where you guys teamed up against the Osirian Portal, and God, that was great.
Yeah, that turned out really well. That was our first official tag match together against those two guys, and we wanted to make a statement, and I think we went out there and we did.
There's a lovely GIF floating around on the internet at the moment of you. I think you're kicking a Marcus square in the face, and I think it's one of those
I could do that every day.
It's one of those things you could just watch over and over again.
Yep, I need that. I should replay it and make myself smile every single day.
What a lady.
As far as you and Daizee are concerned, talk about your chemistry with her, because you guys are both together now as part of the BDK under the fiendish leadership of Ares. Talk about you guys working together.
It's pretty cool. When I first moved out to this area, she was my opponent for a long time, and I always had a lot of respect for her in the ring. And, even before I got to wrestle her, I'd see footage of her and be like, man, if, I wouldn't want to take half the beating she takes, and she keeps coming back. I had a lot of respect for her, and I knew she works hard and obviously trains hard, and I think we gained a lot of respect for each other, and we know a lot how each other works in the ring by having so many matches together, and we just, decided that it's time, and with the Bruderschaft forming, it was just the right place for us to be, and as a team, it's great. And with, like you said, Aris and Claudio and Tersus, like, it's just a awesome group.
For anybody who's listening to this, for anyone who's listening to this and doesn't know much about Chikara or doesn't know much about the BDK, it's a huge storyline which went on for so long and brought in so many different people. We could not do it justice by talking about it here. If you go on Wikipedia and go to the Chikara pages, I think you'll be able to find it there. But as far as being involved in such a big grand storyline, that must be really good for you to be, as far as being in a very sort of focused storyline in Chikara.
Yeah, I think it's probably the biggest story they've ever had going, and to just be a part of it's been really great and amazing, and to see the response of the people, like, you really hate us, and, like, it's so great, and, the fans have just reacted just the way they should to the group, and I think it's been really cool and amazing.
I suppose there's always that possibility that when you've got to send a group of people like that who are just running through everybody, there is always that risk that the fans could maybe just start to think that, these guys are cool because they're running through everyone, a bit like maybe the NWO, for instance. But that hasn't happened with the BDK, has it?
No, I mean, NWO was so long ago, and I obviously see the similarities, but our group is nothing like that, and we could all hold our own in the ring and bring different things, and it's kind of like the Power Rangers, but then when they're all together, it's like this big, massive thing, but, like, we can all independently hold our own.
That is so Chikara comparing the BDK to the Power Rangers.
Yeah, it pretty much is. So anyone out there who's a Power Rangers fan, check it out.
I think, isn't everybody a Power Rangers fan?
Yeah, of course. Or Transformers.
Ah, see, now you're on the young'uns level.
Too, yeah?
Yeah, now you're on the level of the young people who don't even know what we're talking about when we're talking about Power Rangers.
Really? Are they that old?
I don't know. It's 15 years, pretty much.
Yeah, I bet Portia Perez doesn't know who they are.
There you go.
Well, let's talk then about. I mean, Chikara. We're talking about there. They're known for having this really good sort of wrestle factory of people coming through, and there's always new talent coming to Chikara. It's really a good place to catch new talent for the first time. And it's interesting just to bring the story back to when you first started to wrestle. I did read an interview with you where you said that wrestling didn't come easily to you when you first started. I just wanted to ask you about that because on the last show we had Mercedes Martinez on, and I think she was having her first match within 3 weeks of starting to wrestle, and she said she picked it up really easily. So, I mean, obviously you guys are both considered two of the top wrestlers around at this point, but you guys have obviously worked differently to get to that point. Talk about when you started and how difficult you find professional wrestling.
Man, gosh, 3 weeks, that's amazing. I didn't have a match until like a year and a half into my training, but I was always, the guys taught me, you don't want to get in the ring and not know what you're doing, and, you could hurt someone or hurt yourself and not be able to continue. So I was just like, gosh, I don't want to get into the ring until I'm, really, comfortable and confident in everything. And that, even after a year and a half, I didn't feel like I was ready, and it was just about time then. It was either, do it or don't, and accepting that I'm not going to be as prepared as I want to be, but, gosh, everything was hard. Running the ropes, my first bump, everything was just not what I thought it would be. I knew it would be hard, but I guess,
you didn't know it was
I don't know.
Hard.
Yeah, well, it's kind of you need to have control of every single part of your body at the same time, and, just use your body in ways you didn't know it could, and so that was all what I struggled with, and just being completely you need to be so relaxed and confident and comfortable, and that's something I didn't even have in myself, with myself. So to have that in front of a bunch of people too, it was just I think it held me back a little, but it helped me break through that, and I forgot the question in there, but
was just
I hope I answered it.
Yeah, you did. It was just about how you started and how difficult you found it. I mean, where did you get your initial training from then? The first I ever heard of you was you'd been training in the Inoki Dojo.
That was like 3 or 4 years into my training, and I actually started in Northern California, Hayward to be exact, at JAPW, All Pro Wrestling, famous from Beyond the Mat.
Oh, of course, yeah. And with Melissa and...
Melissa wasn't there when I started. She was working their shows regularly, but she was actually living in Southern California. But, maybe 6 months into my training or something around there, she moved up. And then, that was the first time I got to train with a girl. And, I had seen her at shows and managing and stuff. And was just like, wow, because really I didn't know... I had never watched Japanese women's wrestling or seen anything like that. I just kind of knew the 3-minute, WWE women's matches, so I was really excited to be around another girl who had been all these places and done all these things and, had matches and stuff. So, it was pretty cool, but she wasn't there when I started. It was just a bunch of hard-ass guys. Oh, can I say that?
Yeah, you can say whatever you like.
Oh, just a bunch of tough guys, Mike Modest and Donovan Morgan, Vinny Massaro, Greg Khali was there when I started, Bison Smith, just a bunch of really, huge, tough guys.
When you started out, what is it that you wanted to be? You sort of projected yourself as where you wanted to be in a certain amount of time. What sort of ideas did you have for yourself?
I don't know, because I was a fan of Chris Benoit and Regal even back then, just of the real technical wrestling, Dean Malenko, Arn Anderson, I loved the technical wrestling, and I'd see the women and just be why I thought they just weren't capable of doing it like the guys. Maybe it was their choice to wrestle the way they did or certain pressures to wrestle wimpy girls, but I was just I could see the difference and I didn't understand it, and I thought me being a tomboy, and I always thought, I'm thick, I was maybe built for this. And so, but I was a fan of the technical type stuff, so that's just kind of what I saw for myself, and I knew it would be a lot of work, but maybe one day, it would pay off, and yeah.
And then you did move on to the Inoki Dojo, and I guess, was that when you got your first taste of a bit of Japanese action as well then?
No, actually, okay. Oh, man, I'm really bad with dates and times, but this is the order that it all went. So I was at All Pro Wrestling maybe 2 years, and at the time, Mike Modest and Donovan Morgan had just got their contracts for Noah, and so they were not spending a lot of time at the school, and Roland decided to bring down Brian Danielson to be the head trainer, and he was there maybe, my timing's really bad, so he was there a while, let's just say, and I got to train with him, and it was just at the point where I was getting to the point where I was going to be wrestling, so it was learning all, the holds and counters and all that kind of stuff, and so I trained with him, and then he got the opportunity to move down to L.A., and he went, and then Mike and Donovan had started a school of their own in the area. In between Noah tours, they had their original trainer come in and training the guys when they weren't there. So I left APW because it was the same, after 2 years training with the same people and the same kind of stuff. It's just you need to grow and move on, and, I didn't want to keep doing the same thing. I really felt that I needed to grow by moving on. So I went to what was Mike and Donovan's school, which was Pro Wrestling Iron for a little while, and from there I got my first tour of Japan, and so I went from Iron to Japan for 3 months, and then when I came back, I went to Mexico for my first time, which was only maybe 3 weeks, but they would not bring me from Northern California and Mexico. They wanted me in L.A. So then I went down. So before going to Mexico, I moved down to L.A. and just, lived kind of out of my car, had all my stuff there. But I went to Mexico. And coming back from Mexico is when I stayed at the L.A. dojo for gosh, I don't know how long I was there, maybe a year. And then from there, I went back to Japan for like 6 months.
And how did you find the difference in the styles then with America, Japan, and Mexico? Was it difficult to adjust then to the different styles, or was one of them particularly easy to adjust to?
Japan was, I want to say it was pretty easy. Like the wrestling, it was just so different, and I was so young. So, you know, doing all the things I really liked, like the technical type wrestling. Like, I mean, when I trained with Brian, he just pumped me full of like tons of counters and reversals. Like he was heavily into British style at the time, so it was a lot of like mat wrestling and that kind of stuff, which the Japanese girls didn't really do, and I didn't know how they would take to me doing that to them. You know, I was still, you know, really young, didn't know, and but I thought it all came, like I thought it was a place for me. Like I found the subways easy to navigate. Like I felt really comfortable there. Like I love the work. I love how, you know, even the top girls like would set up the ring and set up the chairs. You know, it was all just a big group. I love how like the young girls took care of the older girls and like did their laundry and all that kind of stuff. Like I just loved it. I loved the culture and their wrestling. I just really liked what I had been doing before, like the American style matches, but with the quality of the Japanese women and their like work ethic, if that makes sense. Because I still hadn't even come to the East Coast and seen any of the girls out here that started around the same time. You know, the Daizee Hazes, the Mischiefs, and all those girls. So I didn't really know that there were girls out here. So I was really happy there. And then, you know, Mexico, it was kind of different. Like the girls really just showed up to get paid, and I mean there were definitely a select few that were really good and wanted to work hard and do a lot of stuff and show you a lot of stuff, but because at the time they were bringing in a lot of Americans who were getting much more publicity and attention and better pay than the girls, they were kind of like didn't really want to work with us or, you know, be nice or anything. So the few that did work with us and were nice, it was completely on the down low. Like, they wouldn't do it in front of the other girls. So, I mean, I think it was a great experience in itself. I would have loved to have been able to, like, train more with them, but it just wasn't the right place or environment, really.
Can we name these girls? I mean, who was helpful to you when you were down there, and who wasn't?
Oh, the girls who weren't helpful, you'd probably never even heard of. They were just a bunch of no-name girls who needed the work to support their drug habits or whatever they were doing. But, like, you know, Princess Suhei and Polly Star, and whenever the girls would come up from, like, CMLL, they were all, like, professionals and hard workers. Like, I worked a few times with Nazi and India Soups, I think, and, you know, those girls were all really awesome. And when I got to work there, stock there and stuff like that, and got to meet her, like, they were cool, but they were in Mexico City, and I was in Monterey, which is quite far.
Was it never possible for you to get into CMLL then on a more regular basis?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, definitely towards the end of the last time I was in Japan, a few years ago, I tried, but it just wasn't, I don't know, you know, I've never gotten a job by, like, sending pictures or doing that kind of stuff, because I'm not, like, the girly girl, like, typical type that you would bring in, like, and I don't know, they just weren't looking for what I had to offer, I guess.
Fair enough. Their loss, I suppose. Moving on then. Yeah, absolutely. Moving on then, as far as you were just saying there, going to the East Coast for the first time. Was that through Dave Prazak and IWA Mid-South when you first came over to the East Coast? And,
oh, yes, it was.
Tell us about your little run then in IWA Mid-South, because I know the it's a 10-disc DVD set recently came out of all those IWA Mid-South matches. You get them on highspots.com, and I know Lee and I have both recently sort of watched through all of those. So
plowed through them.
Yeah. Tell us about IWA Mid-South.
Well, the first time it was, you know, a weekend, 2 shows. Melissa and myself went out. I wrestled Mickey Knuckles in a singles match. I had I knew Chris Hero, who was training her at the time, and heard a lot of good things about her. So I was really excited and looking forward. And I thought for the first time wrestling, it went really well. I had a lot of fun. And like, just to wrestle a girl, you know, is like, it wasn't like the first time going out and wrestling a girl. That sounded kind of weird. But, you know, just someone else, like, at my level, like, you know, because in Japan it was either they were so many years, they've been wrestling so much longer than you or so much less than you. And so it was cool to go out there. And the second match, I think, was that big six-way schmoz, and that was cool. I got to interact with Mischief and Daizee Haze and Ariel, who I had met in Mexico. I got to see her again, so that was awesome.
So was that the first time you'd met people like Daizee then?
Yeah.
So that's where it all began then. If you want to pick up the IWA Mid-South Pride and Passion set, you can catch Sara Del Rey working with Daizee for the very first time.
Yeah.
That's a moment in history. I didn't really know that. Didn't really know that was happening. But as far as that time in IWA was concerned, you weren't down there for very many shows, were you?
No, I don't know what else is on the disc because within the past like 5 years I've gone out there quite a bit more. But the first time I went out, I think, was years before I was brought back.
And why was that then? Do you reckon? Was it just a case of circumstances more than anything else?
Yeah, just. Like, I was all over the place, so it just never really worked out. I know they wanted to do me and Brian versus Hero and Mickey, and I was really looking forward to that, and it just never worked out. Like,
well, that's a shame.
I know. Doesn't that sound great?
It did, and it makes total sense as well. And that's the thing, 'cause I guess
at
a lot of people...
At that time, it would have...
Yeah, because I guess, you know, you were coming out... I think you were coming out... What music did you come out to on that DVD? I think you came out as a Boss of the World. So, because
no.
I think you did.
I think it was Final Countdown because when I was in Japan the last time, Brian told me I should start using the Final Countdown, so I did. And then maybe he thought I didn't use it because that's when he started using it at Ring of Honor, but I was still using it like I didn't know. I had never seen a Ring of Honor show.
So you were using it without knowing that he was using it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, he told me, I don't know, I blame him. Like, he gave it to me and then, like, made it all popular and, like, and now I just look like follower.
It was quite interesting. I guess if we sort of maybe jump to Shimmer for a second, we'll sort of backtrack a little bit. But as far as when you started at Shimmer, there was a lot of the women who started on that show who had sort of affiliations with you know, men in the industry as well. For example, you had your affiliation with Bryan Danielson because, you know, you like saying you both had the same music. Alison Danger had her affiliation with Christopher Daniels because she was doing the same poses and things like that. And I guess as the time went on, you kind of established your own character and sort of, you know, you became more you as opposed to a female version of a male athlete.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't really questioning that. It was more of a point than anything else.
Oh, I agree.
All right.
Sorry about that.
All right. Well,
Delta had to get that one out there.
Well, we just mentioned Danger. We may as well talk about her in both Shimmer and Ring of Honor as well. You guys have both competed together as the Dangerous Angels. How's Danger as a partner?
She's so much fun. Like, she really, like, we just got to actually tag together in North Carolina this past week, and it was just, like, so much fun. Like, I don't need to do anything, and she's such, like, a character on her own, like, and to just, I can't say anything besides fun. It's just fun.
Yeah, that's not surprising. Okay, well, I mean, talking of Shimmer then, let's talk a bit about your experiences in Shimmer, and the first thing I want to talk about is your match with Mercedes at Volume 1. I mean, that was a match that really, for me, put Shimmer on the map as far as what they were trying to do with professional wrestling, and it's a match that I know I've shown to various friends of mine when people say to me, what's this Shimmer rubbish that you keep talking about? And I say, well, it's women's wrestling. And they go, oh, women's wrestling? Isn't that WWE, and I was like, no, check this out. And it's always this match that I show people because to me it's a perfect example of what Shimmer stands for. When you and Mercedes had that match on Volume 1, I mean, did you have any idea when you were in the ring that it was going to be as good as it was, or that it would be as well regarded in the years that have passed since?
No, I don't think either one of us had any idea. We were just, like for me, it was the first time I was given a decent amount of time to just kind of tell a full story and, really just go out there and showcase what I learned how to do. And I think she had more experience than me at the time, so I'm not sure if that was the case for her. But, I mean, it was the first time we had wrestled, and I had heard tons of great things about her. It was actually the first time we even met, so, I was really pleased with the way it came out, just her style and how she moved in the ring and stuff like that. But I had no idea, and, even for the first, few years of Shimmer, I don't think any of us girls realized the effects or impacts that the DVDs were having on people. We were just kind of showing up, getting to wrestle, having a good time, and even now, kind of looking back on it, just the amount of publicity Shimmer's gotten and how, I don't know how big it's become. It's pretty amazing to me.
Well, you mentioned about the very beginnings there. When you guys came out, you only had 3 sides of fans, and there wasn't even a huge amount of people. I think there was probably barely 100 fans there. Could you imagine that it went from being quite small and sort of quite quiet there to Shimmer now, I suppose, where there is a lot of fans there, and there's a lot more atmosphere going on.
Yeah, it's really exciting and fun, and it's a lot of the same people, and it's amazing, good times, and it's really a place where, at least for me, I got to grow and experiment as a character and try new things and have the fans go with me on that journey and experience that. It's pretty amazing.
Do you feel a bit responsible for how like what Stu was saying, you started out on the very first show, one of the shows that put Shimmer on the map, to what it is now? Do you feel that you might have had a bit of a hand in this?
I guess, yeah, but I never really thought of it. But, yeah, I think it's just a compilation of all of us girls working hard, and I don't think it really matters, if I wasn't there, the show would continue and be a great success, and I think it's the same for everything because it's collectively a great product. I think we all had a hand in it being in the beginning and that kind of stuff, but, it would still survive without us, so can't take too much credit.
Well, yeah, fair enough. That's very kind of you to say. But you were kind of the chosen one in the early days, as far as that was concerned. You were the one who was the very first Shimmer champion as well. As far as that whole weekend was concerned, I think you wrestled 5 times in that one weekend on the Shimmer title tournament weekend.
Yeah.
I was going to say, how important was it for you to be the person that Dave put his faith behind as the person to carry forward the first Shimmer Championship?
Oh, gosh, I never thought of it like that. Otherwise, I would have felt really awful. That's a lot of pressure. I was stoked to have that many matches and get to wrestle. And, being part of a tournament, it's a completely different, style. And, there's so much more to think about and you can do. And, I was just excited for the wrestling challenge, but that's always been my thing and my focus, and what I enjoy is the actual in-ring wrestling and presentation of that. So I never really thought of maybe that's why I wasn't champion very long, of how I would carry the company or anything like that. So that was kind of an afterthought. I remember after winning the belt, I was like, yeah, and then I was like, oh, I should probably celebrate this. That's kind of cool, and maybe it'll lead to selling a few more, T-shirts or something, but I really had no idea. I was happy to have 5 matches.
Well, I was just with the 5 matches, did you feel a kind of pressure to make each one of them a little bit different, to try and make people still into them, especially when you come to the 5th one as well? I know that was a tag match, but did you feel kind of a pressure to vary them up a bit to keep fans interested?
No, I didn't feel any kind of pressure because you're wrestling a different person every time, so it's obviously going to be different, or, you have different ideas, and that's what I really love about Japanese wrestling. It's each girl has their moveset, and they adjust to the person that they're working with, and they can, work together and create something. It's not I'm always going to do this, and, and just plug in my opponent. And so I don't know, I just like the challenge and what all the different opponents had to bring. So I never worried about the matches being the same or bringing something different because, I don't know, I thought the stories were automatically different.
You talked about the journey that you went on Shimmer, and I think that's fairly obvious when you see the Death Ray character now to the Sara Del Rey character from Volume 1. It's night and day. As far as when you changed your character from being the Final Countdown and your old look to having this new boss of the world entrance and this sort of evil Death Ray character, what was it that prompted that as far as you were concerned? Why did you feel the need to change up the character?
I think with anything, not that it was boring, but it was just stale, and it was stale to the fans. And I mean, I think in a lot of ways I was forced to change, and that was easier to go in the direction of how my character evolved. Just the fans kind of dictated it, and I went with it. And I mean...
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wanted to say that, but I wanted to sort of see if you would mention it as a reason as well. And that was, I mean, there was a bit of a sort of a mini backlash, I guess. People said they were fed up with Sara Del Rey as champion, and it was about that time, I guess, that you changed the character. How did you feel when you started getting sort of some negative feedback from people sort of saying, well, you know what, I'm fed up with Sara Del Rey?
I didn't take it personally, obviously, but I thought it was quite funny because I, just go out and work my hardest and try to put on matches that I enjoy performing and that people might enjoy watching, something different than everything else. And so when people started to not appreciate that, it's like, well, screw you. And it was really easier to go into like a more bitter type character, like, okay, you guys like Mischief so much, who has such a strong character. And I mean, I didn't think she was the same level of athlete or even comparable to my style, you know what I mean? Like, so it was really easy to change and just take these little things and blow them up and make them big and make it into the evolution of Sara Del Rey.
How much of the Death Ray character then is actually you?
I don't know. I'd say, I want to say 100%. I mean, that's a very interesting question.
Well,
I would say 100%.
Well, the reason why I asked is because if you follow you on sort of Twitter, for instance, or you follow your blogs at SaraDelRey.com, because I'll give you a quick plug for your website there. No problem at all. If you look at that and you see what your sort of day-to-day is up to, I noticed some of your habits, I suppose, are slightly different to what you would oppose to being the Death Ray character. For example, you watch The View and you watch The Golden Girls. Now, I don't imagine Death Ray to be watching The View and The Golden Girls.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just another little piece of my personality. I'm not just like one person or one thing, but I mean, I can be angry and bitter about wrestling, and I can have fun and like The View and, my lighthearted stuff, enjoy cooking and working out and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's not just one thing or all, it's just a little aspect of me.
Well, if I stick with the Golden Girls thing for a while, your first DVD was called, your best of DVD was called Golden Memories, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, it was.
Is that a little nod there to the Golden Girls as well?
Yeah, it was actually an episode where they, it's the title of an episode, one of the, flashbacks, where they have little pieces from the past seasons and stuff like that. And, that first came out, that DVD I made came out around the time, B. Arthur died, who was one of my favorites. And, I just thought, why not?
Well, Rue McClanahan died recently as well. It must be horrible having all these shows that you love and just having, little pieces of them just being chipped away. Yeah,
it's really sad, because there's not shows coming out that are even comparable. They're just completely in a league of their own and diminishing.
Did you ever hear the story about how when they started, that originally Betty White was going to play Rue McClanahan's character and Rue McClanahan was going to play Betty White's character?
Yeah, I heard that.
That just blows my mind.
It would have been weird. Yeah, it would have been really weird. But, I mean, I was a fan of Mama's Family, too, which had a lot of the same characters in the, I don't even know what they're called, but some of the minor characters that they brought in for Golden Girls were a lot of the minor characters they used in Mama's Family and stuff, so it was pretty funny. But, I mean, the characters were pretty similar to opposites of their Golden Girls, if you know what I mean. Like, Betty White was one of Mama's daughters, and she was kind of sassy, and then Rue was her Mama's sister, and she was kind of like homely, and I mean, it would have been a completely different show, but I thought the Golden Girls was just perfect.
You'd have a brand new appreciation for the Golden Girls if you saw the British remake.
The what?
There was a British remake of the Golden Girls. They took the idea and rehashed it and made it over here as the Brighton Bells, and it was god-awful.
Yeah, it sounds horrible.
You didn't even need to watch it to know.
No. Name alone. Not sold.
We had to suffer that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, well, let's drag this kicking and screaming back to wrestling if we can for a little.
Do we have to?
Yeah, we do. It's the women of wrestling, not the women of comedy. We can do a spin-off podcast perhaps, but let's bring it back to wrestling for the time being. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Ring of Honor. You would have been on ROH TV. Yesterday when we recorded this on Tuesday against Jamelia Crafts. You're on ROH TV reasonably regularly now on HD Net. Do you get recognised?
No.
Because you are on national TV. I know it's on it's only an HD Net, but do you get recognised walking?
I barely get recognized walking into the building, like, because my character is so much different than me in real life, I guess. So people are just like, oh my God, like, I didn't even recognize you, or I'm not what they thought, or anything like that. There is a Sheetz, I don't know if you know about Sheetz, but it's like a gas station on steroids, like it's the best. So there's a regular, not even regular, when I travel, there's a Sheetz, like maybe in the next state over, and one of the attendants there watches Ring of Honor, and he's the only one to ever, like, recognize me. But I think that was just because I was traveling with people who were very recognizable.
Maybe you still need to start walking down the street with, like, painted on eyebrows.
That's actually discontinued.
Well, that's true, but...
I noticed that you stopped doing that.
Yes, I'm evolving again.
Are you sort of softening out the Death Ray character a bit?
Maybe.
Ooh, stay tuned then.
Yeah?
As far as Ring of Honor is concerned, I just like to ask you because I never hear a lot about this guy anymore, and he was instrumental, I guess, in a lot of your stuff early in your Ring of Honor career, and that's Larry Sweeney. He's had his issues over the last sort of year or so. You ever hear of Larry now?
I don't. The last I heard, though, he's doing well. He got some help, and I think he's back home, just doing well, living his life, going on about his business.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. He was a guy that always entertained me, but
definitely a hell of a talent.
Maybe the wrestling business isn't the best place for him after all, eh?
Yeah.
All right then. Well, Ring of Honor is not the first place you've actually had national TV exposure. You were actually, and not again. No one will recognise you for this, but you were in Wrestling Society X back in the day as well, which is. Interesting because MTV have just started their new Lucha Libre project this past week as well. But any memories of Wrestling Society X where you wrestle under a mask as Nick Grimes?
I actually didn't get to wrestle. They weren't going to have us wrestle until the second season. So my memories are just of being a manager, and it was actually the first time I was being ringside as a manager, and thank God Lacey was there, and I kind of asked her, like, I don't know what to do, like, I never even thought about it, but it's a tough position, so, I mean, my memories were of that, and just real hope and promise, because I thought it was a great project, it had great people running it, working it, and, I mean, hell of a talent lineup, so I was just really hopeful for the second season, and had a lot of fun in the little parts I was in.
How much different was it, like, producing a show like that for a TV audience where I guess you didn't... Was it really being produced by wrestling people, or was it more like TV execs? And I think people were informed when to cheer and things like that.
No, I mean, there were definitely TV execs there, but, I mean, it was run by wrestling people, and It was awesome, and it was filmed on the same lot as the Golden Girls.
No.
But, I mean, yeah, it was the same building, but, I mean, obviously it didn't have the Golden Girls set still because they were filming Monk or something there, but it was the same lot, so I got to go in the building and imagine...
That's tremendous. I guess look, there's all these little bits of your wrestling career that are just sort of dotted with Golden Girls memories.
It is.
That's fantastic. I suppose that, as far as Wrestling Society X is concerned, I guess it's a shame that it didn't make it through to a second season. I've got the first season. I'm sort of chipping my way through it from time to time, and it is one of those shows that really fit into the ethos of MTV, I suppose. It was very high octane, quite very fast paced, and as far as that's concerned, I guess it's was it a departure, I suppose, from like you're saying, you wrestling in Shimmer, you're wrestling 20-minute matches, you got time to set things out, whereas now you got a show on MTV which is 22 minutes long. I guess you don't have that time, as far as wrestlers are concerned, to be able to tell a long story like that.
Yeah, it's just a different challenge. I mean, I like I said, I never wrestled, so I never got that. I'm kind of experiencing the match part of that now with Ring of Honor. But yeah, I think the guys, but because I was only there the second week of taping, I think there might have been I think there was 2 weeks I was there for the last week, so they kind of had it figured out the first set, because I mean they filmed the whole season in 2 weeks, so the guys were just having tons of matches, and so I think they got acclimated real quick to the style, and they all wanted it fast paced, so that's what they gave them.
Well, I just want to sort of switch topics a little bit as well, because I know that you're very well known for your fitness regimen, because you are notoriously exercising all the time. Oh God, yeah. We talked to Alison Danger, and the things that she says about the way that you train with her, it damn near killed her.
Oh man.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. As far as your training is concerned, what do you do? Talk us through maybe one of your days at the gym.
I'll talk you through today. I did my cardio regimen just changed. Before I was doing 5 days a week, 45 minutes, and now it's only 5 days a week at 30 minutes. So I was on the Stepmaster, good, hard, or fast pace where you're really getting your heart beating. 6 minutes, hop off, do 12 push-ups, 12 hop squats, 12 mountain climbers, and then back on for another 6 minutes. Go through that 4 times, and then do 12 minutes of intervals at the end. And then I had legs today, so I did some squats on the Smith machine. I did these step-up lunges, but I step sideways up and then step off and do your lunge. Maybe 3 sets of, 15 to 12 of each of those, supersetting. And then the next thing I did was the butt blaster. I don't know if you guys have that. It's this little contraption, and you jump into it and you kick your leg back, but you could add weight. It's real nice. So I did 4 sets of that, supersetted with stability ball hyperextensions, where you kind of lift your legs up and squeeze your butt, and then rounded off with what do I do next? Plie squats, which are you have your feet kind of like Charlie Chaplin, all wide and toes pointed outwards, and then holding a weight in your hands, squat down, and then 20 sets of, or 20 reps of jump squats. Did that all about 3 or 4 times. So I don't think it's too crazy. It's just kind of what I enjoy and like to do, so I try and push myself. Yesterday was crazy because I did a cardio session with, up at the track at my gym with 2 rounds of lunges, which is no fun.
So you say this is no big deal. This sounds terrifying.
No, it's not terrifying. It's fun.
I suppose, yeah, if you're building your way up to that. I remember you were saying a little while ago, don't you do you work at a gym now as well?
On Thursday nights, I teach an extreme fitness class. It's an hour and a half, and it's pretty much all the same kind of stuff. Try and keep it interesting. I have a very wide range of people in the class, so trying to find something that everyone can do. I have some ladies like over 50 and some 19, so just keeping it interesting, doing stuff, challenging them, and trying to get an extra workout in for myself. But yeah, it's been fun and interesting.
See, I'm feeling properly ashamed now that you've got 50-year-old women in an extreme fitness class. I'd expect just to turn up there and be a sweaty pile of dust by the end of it.
Yeah, but you can adjust any exercise, and I think just working at your own pace and to where you feel the exercises, and pushing yourself, but also knowing your limits. So a lot of the exercises are stuff that everyone can do at their own pace and fitness level, so it's not scary or anything like that.
I remember a Ring of Honor promo which was on, I think they were advertising ROH on HD Net, where you're talking about how your perception of what you want a woman wrestler to be is a lot different to maybe what WWE and TNA perceive to be female wrestling, and I guess these are the kind of things that maybe set you apart from them. Yeah,
maybe. I don't know. I've heard interviews with some of the girls, and they say how after the show they'd catch McDonald's or something like that, and I just think oh, what crap! I would never eat, especially if I had to be on TV every week, and some of the levels of fitness that I imagine they'd need to be in. McDonald's just does not fit into that plan at any time. So I don't know. It's all personal, I guess. Some people can get away with that, and I can't.
So when was the last time you had junk food then?
I don't know.
Was it this decade?
I don't think. What?
Was it this decade? Was it last decade? Was a 19 at the start of the year?
No, since the beginning of the year, sure. I'm sure I have. I just can't recall because recently, I don't think my body reflects how hard I work. So I'm really, really trying to clean up my diet and find out what I'm missing or what I need to add or what's going on, because I think there's something to it. And just adding a little cheat, I don't think it's helping me. And really, once you've eaten healthy and clean and good for so long with natural, rich foods, and I don't really miss it or crave it or even want to add it in, because then it's I don't know, I feel guilty. I don't feel good physically, and I don't want it. So I don't know. I don't really think about it. But I can't remember the last time I had something. But it was probably a piece of chocolate, or went out and to a restaurant and had pasta or something like that.
Alison Danger talked about the Claudio Castagnoli diet. Very, very, very strict as far as if you can't pronounce what's in the food, you can't have it.
Exactly. That's a very good rule.
I'm gonna have to try that at some point, see what it's like.
It's pretty amazing if you start looking at the labels and just all the extra added crap in your food. You don't need half of it, and it's poisoning. It's poisoning our young kids, and yeah, it's kind of scary.
There's a message for all the parents out there, ladies and gents.
Yep.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit then about, again, to drag it back to wrestling again. I'm terribly sorry.
Boo.
For God's sake, Stu, ruining the fun.
I know. Now, let's bring it back. Let's talk a little bit about Jersey All-Pro. You're the champion up there at the minute. We did see you on a show in April last time we were for Shimmer. You wrestled Ayumi Kurihara in that as a title defense. How are things going for you up in Jersey All-Pro?
They're going fantastic. Jersey All-Pro does a great job of bringing in good quality talents and opponents, and really I think I'm featured on all their shows, and I think that's great for a woman's champion, and especially to be their first. I've had the belt for over a year, and like I said, they keep bringing in quality opponents, and I think it's going great.
Is there any plans for them to do another all-women's show?
I hope sometime soon. They were having trouble with the buildings and that kind of stuff, and now they're working a few other things out on the side. So I hope that the women's shows come back around, because I thought they were great and very enjoyable, and they had a different talent than SHIMMER. They were real unique, I thought.
As the women's champ there, and like you said, you've been champ for a year, and do you have a bit of a poll then as to suggesting which women you'd like to come in, which ones you could recommend to them, which ones you think you'd be able to work well with?
Yeah, I'd say I could tell them if they listen. I don't know, maybe if they could work it out logistically, I'm sure they'd try.
I mean, through your connection with Jersey All Pro, you've actually been able to work a couple of TNA shows as well. I think did the Jersey All Pro guys work as local promoters for the TNA shows? Is that the way it works? And as part of that deal, you end up on the shows as well?
Yeah, I think the guys who work at Jersey All Pro have been helping TNA promote the shows when they come up here, and they've been getting great results and turnouts. So, and just in exchange, and all publicity for them, they have me on their shows, and I mean, because those guys are huge supporters and backers of mine, and I mean, there's just no reason why I couldn't wrestle their girls. So I think it's been a great opportunity and a lot of fun and great learning experience and good publicity for everyone, and it's been good times.
You had one of those matches in TNA, what, was it a couple of weeks ago or about a week ago or so? I think it was against Angelina.
Yeah, maybe the beginning of the month.
Yeah.
We wrestled at the Jersey Shore. It was awesome.
Yeah, so you've had a couple of matches now for TNA, and obviously it's because of the whole Jersey All Pro connection. But do you consider these, or are these considered as tryouts as well? Do you go into it thinking with the impression, if I go in here and I do a good performance, they may be interested in signing me to a contract? Is that something you're even interested in?
I don't go in with that focus or anything like that, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
You'd be open to it, though?
I'd be open to talking to them. Yeah, but I mean, it's not something I'm going after. I'm I gotta be great and do this and do that, to try and get them to be interested in me, because I've talked to them and they just don't have a spot for me right now, so there's no point in putting all that pressure on me or anything like that. I just go out and kind of do what I do, and if the time is right and they have something for me, I'm sure they'll give me a call. They have my info and know where to contact me, and I'd be open to talking with them.
As far as your future career goes, will you consider it something that's going to happen at some point in your life? You do want to get one of those national TV contracts, or will you be happy doing what you're doing and being happy with that? Or what are your aims as far as your future career is concerned? Is what I'm asking, I suppose.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot within the past 6 to 7 months. I think I would like one of those contracts, either WWE or TNA, and just expanding what I'm doing in my wrestling and getting an opportunity on a national level to gain more recognition for women's wrestling and that kind of stuff. And I think I'd fit in really well, but I don't think either company right now has any interest in my specific talents. So hopefully that will change one day, because I would love to be in either place.
Well, I was going to ask that. There's a possibility that if you were to go to either a WWE or a TNA, it might be it might be necessary for you to maybe sacrifice maybe a bit of yourself to do these sort of TV shorter matches and some of the other gimmicks and things like that. Would you be willing to do that, to maybe sort of compromise what you've worked on and maybe other people's perceptions of you, like say for that national or international exposure?
Sacrifice in what way? How do you mean? Like my wrestling itself?
Well, yeah, because I know you've built up a character for yourself, and you do wrestle some very long matches. I suppose they will be more as a premium in maybe sort of WWE or TNA, and you might be wrestling the shorter matches.
Yeah, I don't think I mind, because I think there's still a lot of challenge and a lot to learn, at least for me, in those kind of matches, and just how to get across my points and display my abilities and stuff like that. So I don't think it would be a compromise. I think it would just be new learning and experience, and I think hopefully, I would eventually get the opportunity to have a longer match or do that kind of style and stuff once they see that it's possible and that people would like to see it. So I don't think I would have to change or compromise too much.
Well, given the choice, you've got two contracts sitting on the table in front of you. One of them is WWE and one is TNA. Which one would you swing towards?
WWE, just because, I mean, I've watched it since I was a child, and that's just the premier place to be for wrestling in the sense that, I mean, it's just the biggest company in the world, and the exposure and, like, the talent roster they have is amazing, and, I mean, just the history the company has, I mean, how could you not?
Might be interesting if you walked in the door, considering some of the things you've said about sort of diva-style wrestling in the past. Is it a case you might go in there and try to be a bit of a one-woman revolution?
Maybe. I don't think I've said anything negative, and I think if anyone took it that way, then they were clearly the divas that weren't there for the right reasons.
Fair enough. But as far as WWE or TNA is concerned, I mean, that's something that might happen in the future. If it does, then great. What have you got coming up though in the more short-term future, as far as you're concerned for the rest of this year? What you've got coming up that you want to talk about?
I got a lot of Ring of Honor that coming up. I don't know when this is going to air, but I have Ring of Honor in Louisville and I think, Collinsville and Chicago Ridge wrestling Awesome Kong in Chicago. I have a 6-man tag with the Briscoe brothers in Awesome Kong, me and the Kings of Wrestling, match with Daizee Haze. I have Chikarasaurus Rex coming up with Daizee Haze and myself wrestling Rach Shafai and Amazing Kong. I have matches with Daphne coming up. I have tons of stuff coming up. Of course, Jersey All-Pro, but mainly Chikara and Ring of Honor on the very new horizon.
Doesn't sound like you're doing much.
Yeah, not at all.
God, why are you slacking off or something? What's going on?
I know. I gotta whip my butt back into shape.
What about international dates? Anything coming up on the international side of things?
Unfortunately, no. I'd love to get back out there and do some stuff, but I mean, I've had no one interested or contact me for anything like that, so no, nothing to report. Very sadly.
Okay, you heard that, promoters. Get on the phone.
Yep.
All right.
Sara Del Rey wants to travel.
I do.
Okay, Sarah, well, listen, thanks for taking the time with us. It's been a bit of a two-part interview, thanks to technical gremlins and so on. So thanks for giving us your time on 2 different days, and hopefully it's not too obvious for the listeners. But